I am, that is, charge! Ah! To the review. Ah! Oh crap! Ow! Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel of Lazy Brown Productions, which is your boy, D. Wesley. And today I will be reviewing episode 2 of Redwall. It's called Clooney the Scourge. Or just Clooney the Scourge. So, it's been a while since I reviewed this. I really want to try to get more on a constant base with this type of show because honestly, it's really good. And I hope to further get into it and dive and review it so you guys can watch it. So pretty much the story starts back off where we see Clooney outside and he wants the tapestry. So he commands his little minion called Shadow to sneak into Redwall and grab it or steal it. So the Shadow guy goes and says, which is also a rat, also says, "Yes, my liege." So he sneaks on in there. While in there, we see Cornflower patching up Matthias and let him know that everything's gonna be fine and it's all gonna work out. And the two part ways as she goes to help out in the kitchen, Matthias goes to walk around Redwall. So as we go ahead and get back into the kitchen, we then go to see that all the mice are talking about the rat's recent, I want to say, introduction or place into the valley, and everybody's worried and scared about it. We then see Constance come in and tell everybody, hey, we need provisions updates, we need to know what's going on, because just in case this rat thing becomes a real major issue, we need to know what we're dealing with here. Meanwhile, the head chef is just like, oh, how could you tell me to know or rationalize? I am a chef. I am genius in the making, or I am making genius. And that's when Constance, the badger, sits there and says like, yeah, I get it, but we need to be realistic here. So all the mice are like, oh my God, I said we should be worried. Meanwhile, Cornflower comes in, which she was already trying to quail everybody down already. She just says like, listen, that's fine. I'll go ahead and I'll look into it and I'll give you an updated report on what's going on. And she tries to tell everybody, say, look, if we learn to rationalize and we be smart about how we eat, we have more than enough food for everybody around here. And that's understandable. So they head on out. While all this is going on, we see in the background, Shadow has snuck into the monastery. And when he snuck into the monastery, we see that he pretty much started gnawing on the tapestry. So then we slide back over to Cornflower going out of the kitchen to see if she can get more hands to help with supplies are. And she runs to Matthias. As she runs to Matthias, she says like, hey Matthias, can you get some people, because we need to do a count of our food storage. And he goes like, sure, no problem. So he starts walking. And as he's walking, he hears this little thing in the background saying, Matthias. You know, so he goes like, okay, well, I must be going crazy, so I gotta keep walking. Then he hears it again, Matthias. So then he goes like, Martin? Don't let them take me, Matthias. Martin's talking to me. Which, bitch, just tell me what you want. Like, why didn't you just say, hey, yo, Matthias, somebody's trying to take me. Get your mouse ass over here. So Matthias goes to see what's going on, and that's when he runs to the Shadow. And then that's when he yells out, rats! Rats have come into the monastery! So at that point, he starts trying to stop him from taking the tapestry that has Martin on it. So he goes off, and that's when Shadow goes and dips. As he dips, that's when Constance says like, hey, Matthias, don't chase after him, he's dangerous. And the rat tries to go out the same way he came in, which is over the wall, which is a very big drop. He tries to go over, Matthias manages to catch up to him, they fight over the tapestry. Unfortunately, Shadow kind of goes, lands pretty hard, manages to get the tapestry to Clooney, and he goes like, my liege, don't leave me, and like a villain, he goes like, peace. So he dips on out. And Matthias feeling bad because, he kind of caused the character to pass away, feels bad about it. And he goes like, Father, and the head monk comes out and he says like, Father, I didn't mean to. He's like, well, that's what happens with war and all that other stuff. And honestly, I'm like, I would have told Matthias, oh, look, I get it, but stuff happens, but at the same time, I'm not gonna feel too bad for a rat that's trying to kill us. So you also see that he got pretty banged up and he gets taped up again. And that's when the rats are celebrating, like, hey, we got your hero. And, that's a small victory for them. So the Redwall residents start preparing for war or preparing for rat attacks and everything like that. So morning comes and we see a bell start getting tolled. A bell saying for all the residents within the area to come to the Redwall haven, so then that way we can stand united, or pretty much they can seek refuge from the rats that are lurking out in the woods. So we see everybody coming in, and then we see this small other little family of rodents trying to get through, trying to come. But that one kid is kind of just jumping all around and, having fun, not really grasping the situation of what's happening. And the parents are trying to reel her in, but she got far away. Unfortunately for them, one of Clooney's henchmen, who were kind of slacking off, decided to capture them and bring them to their leader. And the parents, while they're being taken away, tell their youngest to run. So the eldest runs to Redwall. And so now we see that Clooney and his henchmen have the family. They take them off to some type of church, and they prepare for attack on Redwall. And as that's happening, we see Matthias, again, like I said, being patched up and being told the story of the tapestry behind Martin, and about how he apparently hears Martin, and they're trying to find the sword of Martin, so that way they probably have a better chance of fighting these rats. So as they're being told the story and the contents behind it, we see the small little mouse, or I should say small little rodent, come back and say how her parents got kidnapped by the rodents. And as the parents got captured by the rodents, they now say like, well, we got to do something. We got to attack. And that's when they said, no, it's not time to attack. We have to stay here and you have to be calm. And Constance kind of tells Matthias like, hey, Matthias, it's okay to want to take action. But remember, as warriors, or as a soon-to-be warrior, or as a warrior in general, we do not seek violence for revenge. We only do violence to protect ourselves, which is pretty calm. Honestly, I'm on Constance's side more than I'm on the monk side. Our hero, Matthias, kind of walk away, and that's when Cornflower gives him a knife to say, hey, listen, I know you about to go do something crazy. She doesn't say it like that. She says it nicer, but she goes, look, I know you about to do something crazy. Stay shot, my G. But more in a powerful, heroic way. Every warrior needs their weapon. So, here you go. Thank you, Cornflower. I appreciate that. So Matthias goes out to try to save the captured rodent's family. And unfortunately for Matthias, he runs into two members who kind of got left behind, because again, it seems like Clooney, he rules with an iron fist, but honestly, his henchmen kind of are the lazy henchmen that will find they're scoundrels. Okay, let's just be honest. They're straight up scoundrels. So they'll find any reason to make an excuse for the reason why they didn't do something, or why something didn't get done. And in trying to catch up with Clooney, they run to Matthias, or I should say Matthias sees them from afar, manages to trick them, beat them up with a branch, and then tie them up. We run into a hare called Basil, who very energetic. He kind of gives me Terror vibes, but as a warrior. And the hare pretty much explains himself, who he is, and he's a pretty cool dude. Matthias tells him about the situation, and you can see the hare visibly angry at how this Clooney person is, and he goes like, how can I be of assistance to you, sir? So Matthias says like, oh, well, I need help going to the church over there. So they go ahead and The Hare tries to go to the church, but Matthias goes to hey, homeboy, the church is that way. He goes like, oh, my bad. So he goes ahead and goes to the church. While that's going on, we see Clooney beginning the battle by first attaching a plank from a tree to the castle. And while he's doing that, he's calling for his troops to attack Redwall. Pretty much a diversion, so he could get in. And so then begins a giant war between the populace of Redwall versus Clooney's henchmen, which I was like, where do these warriors come from? Because none of these people look like fighters, but hey, I could be wrong. We pan over to Matthias, see the hostages, and they try to devise a plan to free them. The plan was pretty much to Basil the Hare will distract them while Matthias unties them and sets them free. Was the plan. Not a bad plan, except for one thing. Instead of really distracting, Basil literally just beat the living crap out of him. And when he beat the living crap out of them, Matthias set them free and they went about the way. So I'm just like, dude, you could have just said you could beat them up and then we could just, there was no need for the whole plan. We pan over to when Matthias captured one of them rats and had him tied up. The rat got free, making excuses of what happened. And that's when he runs into this giant snake that is very serpent and mesmerizing. So he does that, and when he does that, he kind of he doesn't hypnotize the rat. The rat kind of scared, and he kind of can't move. So next thing you know, the serpent, known as Asmodeus, as we'll certainly learn, just pretty much devours the rat. And so that's so much for that henchman. Once Matthias and Basil grab the hostages, they try to go back to get the rat to untie him to figure out what's going on. They kind of find out that the Hare smells something's going on, and he goes like, this smells like Asmodeus. And then that's when Matthias asks, who's Asmodeus? And the Hare pretty much says, well, Asmodeus is a serpent and a pretty nasty one. After he heard that, so that's when they head back to Redwall to help out with the war, or help out and see what's going on. So then we pan over to where we see Matthias and them trying to get into Redwall, and Cornflower, who's helping out with the fighting off of the rats, she managed to see Matthias, and when she sees Matthias, she tries to tell him to lower the bridge so Matthias can get in, while at the same time she sees that Clooney and his henchmen are trying to get in on the opposite end. So she warns everybody. Meanwhile, Constance comes running over and to deal with the situation at hand by also kind of just tipping over the plank. So luckily, they managed to get Matthias and Basil and the rodent family managed to come in. When they managed to come in, Matthias is trying to stop him by pretty much moving the plank. So they managed to kind of get Clooney off of the plank, but unfortunately, fortunately, Clooney goes falling over the plank and down below, with kind of causing them to want to retreat. So as they're doing that, we thinking that it's the end of Clooney. And then so then the monk comes in, the elder monk who's in charge of the whole monastery. He comes over and he says, like, all this violence and everything, it's just not good. It's just not good at all. Like, shut your old ass up, man. Like, no offense, dude. You gotta do what you gotta do. Like, look, I get not liking war, which Basil kind of instructs and tells them, like, hey, look, he doesn't like fighting. He's a smart fellow. But at the same time, though, this is not that time. Like, they're coming for us. It's not like we're seeking revenge against them. And everybody keeps telling Matthias even that we seek for protection. We don't fight for vengeance. It is what it is. So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. But we then see Matthias look over and we see that Clooney is still alive because he moves a little bit, because he sees his tail still moving around as his troops take him to be left away. I forgot to say, Clooney did say he was going to use the hostages if they don't surrender, But Matthias says, yeah, we got those hostages right about here, so not gonna work. So I forgot that little tidbit right there. So the hostages weren't for nothing. We did have a plan. So after all is said and done, we see that Queen's still alive and the episode ends, which is fine and all. But I want to say this episode, honestly, 8.5 out of 10. This was I have nothing against it. Again, it's just, so far the series 2 episodes in, and it's a great series. I was mad because I took a hiatus on it, but I gotta really ramp up the watching of this show and just review it because I'm truly, truly loving it. But overall, I have nothing against it. This is still a must watch. It's a good way to introduce it to your kids if you want them to kind of, I want to say, if you want your kids to watch something with emotional depth, this is definitely that series. It's definitely that series. It's definitely that way that you would want to go. I have nothing against it, and truly, I feel like this is one of those shows that it survives the test of times. It's just pretty solid storytelling. But maybe you think differently. Maybe not. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Let me know, and I will catch y'all later. Peace.